I'm one of those writers that writes in multiple genres, multiple forms and styles. I bore easily. I never like to repeat myself. My agent would probably like it if I would brand myself and do one thing, but I don't. I really like form. So like I've written like a no drama about Elvis Presley. I wrote a contemporary Greek tragedy called The Women of Lockerbie. That is the thing I'm most known for. I've written farces. I've written romantic comedies. I've written tragedies and theatrical, science plays. Theater and plays and operas and musicals are ways to explore the world and explore many interests. And I have many interests. So my plays kind of really cover, I go all over the theatrical landscape, and I really like it that way. But again, I'm hard to pin down. There was a commission that was done in a New Jersey theater, which you may know about, called Premier Stages, called the Liberty Live Commission, where they hook up with the Liberty Museum in Union, New Jersey, and they commission, at that time, it was like 45-minute, 50-minute one-act plays about some event in New Jersey history. And so I got that commission, and I wrote a play called My Lord, What a Night. You can see the poster right here. That's about the night that Marian Anderson gave a concert in Princeton, New Jersey. World famous singer, goes to the Nassau Inn in Princeton and is not allowed to stay there because she's Black. And Albert Einstein took her in, gave her a place to stay for the night. She was literally thrown into the street. And this began a lifelong friendship between the two. So I had written this play, and I was sitting in the Liberty Museum in rehearsals, and it occurred to me that the incident that I had written was really the prelude to the bigger incident, which happened 2 years later, which was she was denied the right to sing in Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C. by the Daughters of the American Revolution. And the controversy surrounding that incident, historians now see, it was the starting bell for the civil rights movement. And it was the incident that established the Mall of Washington as the seat of civil protest in the United States, and also the symbol of civil protest. And when we protest today, we go to the Mall of Washington. That started with Marian Anderson. So I realized this event in Princeton was really part of a bigger story, and I wanted to write I needed to turn it into a full-length play, not this like little 45-minute museum piece, right? So that's when I applied to the New Jersey Playwriting Fellowship, because I thought, I need to like reimagine this play and turn it into a full-length work. And so that's what I did. I wrote, I sent in my samples of what I had written, and I had a proposal for what I was going to do, and they funded me, and I was very grateful for that, because, as somebody said, turning a one-act play into a two-act play isn't just like sort of adding 20 or 30 pages. It's like you have to really reimagine the play. It needs a new skeleton. It needs a new structure. I'm really pleased that so many of the theaters in New Jersey are committed to doing new work. So like Premier Stages, for example, they have the Liberty Live program. They have other programs, and they're all about new work. So that's really great. There's also Centenary Stage out in Hackettstown, and they started years ago a women's playwrights festival. And I had a play that went into that festival, and it's sort of like a contest. It won the festival, and it went on to have sort of like a main stage production there. There's New Jersey Rep down in Long Branch that they do all new work. You've got Two River Theater that does new work. You've got McCarter. I mean, it's kind of incredible that you've got Passage Theater in Trenton, which is very small space, but they do small scale work. Basically, they do all new work, which is really unusual. Usually in a community or a state or a city, you have one or two theaters that are sort of committed to new work, and everyone else is doing revivals or standards. But here, everybody's doing new work. So it's kind of it's a great place to be, and there's lots of opportunities, and you can, there's small theaters and big theaters, and they're all, so, you can work at all different levels. So it's really It's really great, actually. It's funny. I knew from the age of 14 or 12, or I don't know, very young, that I wanted to be a writer. And when I read Edna St. Vincent Millay's poetry, my candle burns at both ends. I just, my young heart was like, oh, I'm going to be a writer, going to be a great American poet. Then I said, oh no, I'm going to write the great American novel. When you're a kid. So I did a lot of that. And then but I'm very practical. And I thought, oh, this is completely ridiculous. You can't earn your living as a writer. And so I was trained in politics, and I was a very effective political aide to the governor of Alaska and in Congress. And I have this whole political life, and then I have very good management skills, and I ran Perseverance Theater, and I raised the money. But, I was like really, really, I've got to, you got to pay the rent, and writing doesn't pay the rent. But when I became, and I've always loved the theater. I was raised as a kid. My parents were in the Gilbert and Sullivan Opera Company, an amateur group out of Ridgewood, New Jersey. I was raised in the rehearsal hall. Never occurred to me to make it a profession. It's always been a love. So in Alaska, I just realized I wanted to start writing. And then I realized I was in the theater, and I loved the theater, and I loved my life in the theater, but I was afraid to come out as a writer. And so I hid my writing, and I would get up at 4:00 in the morning. I lived out in the woods, with the bears, and I would get out at 4:00 in the morning, and I would do 2 to 3 hours a day of writing. And I never told anybody this. And I just hid those works. And then I quietly submitted it for a contest, and I won. In a way, I mean, it sounds a little corny. My plays are kind of like children, and it's sort of like asking a mother which one you like best. Now we all have favorites, but dare. And I'll say my favorite. My favorite play is The Poetry of Pizza. I am known for The Women of Lockerbie. It is not my favorite play. The Poetry of Pizza is my favorite play. And it's a comedy. And I think it's pretty close to perfect. I've scrubbed it of its flaws. Every other play I have, there's flaws that, bother me. But I think I scrubbed that one of all its flaws. So I think I like that one best. I think I have probably written 3 to 4 years worth of work in the last year. I wrote I wrote an opera for the Glimmerglass Opera, which will go up in this summer at Glimmerglass. I'm working on another opera right now for Chicago. I got commissioned to do a full-length play by Florida Studio Theater. I did a 10-minute play for an international festival put together by Arena Stage in the embassy in Russia, American Embassy in Russia. I did a 10-minute opera for a web series. I did major rewrites on the play that I wrote during my New Jersey fellowship, My Lord, What a Night, in preparation for productions in Orlando and Florida Studio Theater, and then the big launch of the play nationally at the Ford's Theater. It will be the opening production at Ford's. And then I did major rewrite on another musical and new work on a new musical. So, I mean, I've been stuck in my house, and I'm like, I'm not going to watch television. I'm going to write. And I've been writing, and I feel like we probably have 6 months left in this pandemic. And I intend to get more work out, because when else are you given this kind of time? It's a horrible situation, granted, but I'm stuck in the house, so I'm using the time. The process changes for each project. I sometimes I will write a play that just comes from me, or like I had this memory of this pizza parlor, and but and other times I'll do a really intensive research. If I'm writing at a different time period, which I'm doing right now, I'm writing an opera that takes place in England in the 1700s. I am reading lots of history books about that, but I will read literature from the time period to get a sense for how people speak. And sometimes I'll just sit down and charge into the unknown. So it's every project is different.
The New Jersey Individual Artist Playwright Fellows Showcase is a project of the New Jersey State Council on the Arts and the New Jersey Theater Alliance. The New Jersey State Council on the Arts is a partner agency of the National Endowment for the Arts.